Hey there, Harrison here with another Daily Love Oracle. Today we're going to hear from Marie Antoinette. Look at that, Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette was the last queen of France before the revolution. She passed away, she lost her head actually, sorry to say, in 1793. So this love oracle is a little bit of bad taste, I think. It talks about no man is worth losing your head over. I mean, what the heck? What do we say about that? No man is worth losing your head over. I think that's true though. She was married to King Louis the 16th, who was the last king of France before the revolution, and both of them lost their heads to the guillotine, in the Concorde there in Paris. And whenever I pass through the Concorde, I can't help but think about all the people who died there those few hundred years ago, why they died, what went on in their lives, what the scene looked like when they had the guillotine there and the public, in the public display of everything. I wouldn't much like to see people executed, and not that way. That's very messy. But the reason they use the guillotine is because it's a clean cut and a good death, a fast death. My, that's one way to live and die, isn't it? Anyway, Marie Antoinette, she lived there in Versailles, just outside of Paris, which is one of my favorite places in the whole world. I love to go to Versailles and hang out. And the 800-hectare park that's part of the Versailles Chateau is spectacular, with the amount of trees and the fields and the animals and the plants and the canal. And just walking around there is really spectacular. There's a feeling there that I've never experienced anywhere else, a sense of history and a sense of place. And she missed Austria because she was Austrian before she married King Louis the 16th. So she built this Austrian village there in Versailles, which you can go and visit. And it's like a little Austria. So the style of building the houses, the thatched roofs, and just the whole construction and the whole feeling of the place is like being in Austria. And, when I think back to those times, how people lived, especially the royalty, they went a bit extreme, too extravagant. And it upset people because a lot of people were really struggling to live hand to mouth, and there were famines and people were starving and they're not doing well. So, what do you expect? But this is Marie Antoinette. An interesting character, and Versailles is a very interesting place to visit to see the history. One of the things that happened there is the Treaty of Versailles that ended World War I. So there's a lot of different things to experience there, and this love oracle comes from Marie Antoinette, Miss Extravagant herself, or Mrs. So she says in her love oracle, "Be the dessert, not the entree." Well, she's famous for saying, "Let them eat cake," although I believe that that's not historically accurate, but it does encapsulate the essence there, where they were living in luxury and everyone else starving. Let them eat cake. Be the dessert, not the entree. That means you want to be not the savory. You want to be the dessert. You want to be the part that people look forward to, the part that is sweet. And isn't it, as a person in relationship, if you're in relationship with somebody, wouldn't you want them to describe you as a dessert, that you are sweet? Because we all look forward to dessert. It's at the end of all the food, and then you have something. Well, not everybody does, but many of us do. We enjoy sweet things because of how it makes you feel. So being the dessert says that you light people's taste buds up, and that's a good way to be described, isn't it? Are you the dessert, or are you the entree? Or are you the, you're the warm-up? Are you the warm-up for someone else? Or are you the main course? Or are you the dessert? The creme de la creme, so to speak. Just a question you can ask yourself. And finally, she says, see all, hear all, love all, and forget all. I think in Versailles, when they were living there in the palace, there was a lot going on that shouldn't be repeated, that shouldn't be spoken about, that shouldn't be passed around. I guess that's what she's saying. See all, hear all, love all, forget all. I don't know if that's good advice. Actually, I think it sucks. I think her whole love oracle, other than be dessert and not the entree, I think that part's good, but the rest sucks. And in an earlier love oracle, I talked about getting advice from people who don't follow their own advice, and that not all advice is equal. But a lot of people love to give advice. And often the people who love to give advice are the last people to follow it, which is a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? For myself, I like to get advice from well-qualified people and from people who have earned the right to offer the advice. So if you're going to get financial advice, you want to get that from somebody who has the financial experience. And you don't want someone who's only ever won. Like if you want to get entrepreneurial or business advice, you don't want to get it from somebody who is always lucky and they always, which I don't think there's many people like this, but people who always seem to have the Midas touch and everything goes really great and everything's fine, or they ride Lady Luck all the way to the bank and they never have any significant failures, because that's not reality. Reality is that you have a lot of failures. Like if you take relationship advice from someone who's never had a relationship or can't keep a relationship, that's not going to be good advice. Whereas if you get relationship advice from someone who has had relationships, been in relationships, been through the mill with it, come out the other side, maybe had a divorce or two, maybe had a breakup or two, had their heart broken. It's easy to be in a relationship and not have your heart broken, because a lot of people, they don't let others in. They don't share of themselves. I like to share of myself, my story, and my hopes and dreams and fears and failures. I've had plenty of failures. And the failures are not what matters. What matters is what you learn from it. And in terms of relationship, if you're always trying to protect yourself and don't let anyone in, then you're never going to really feel the essence of what it's like to be in love, because love has an element of risk. It has an element of danger, and that's what makes you feel alive, is that you don't take it for granted. You feel the full feeling of it, and all the risk and all the hopes and the dreams and all that. When you have gone through a number of breakups, you feel the crushing part of the loss of when something that you invested your heart in, let them in, and you trusted them, and you had this future plan together. Then when that fails, you feel the full weight of that. And that's what has us feeling fully alive. Otherwise, you're going to feel numb, and feeling numb is like the absence of feeling. A lot of people go through life feeling numb. How they compensate for the feeling of numb is they live in a fantasy, or what they do is they live in escapism, where you're always trying to escape from reality. To me, the best way to live is to be as connected to reality as possible. I like to see the reality of the situation, and it's not easy, because myself and most people I know, reality can really suck. Like if you've ever been stabbed in the back by someone, maybe a friend who betrayed you, or someone who violated your trust, it hurts like hell. And you don't want to see the truth of what they did. You want to believe that everybody has your best interest at heart, and that people wouldn't betray your trust. And then when you find out they do, oh man, this is real life. Real life can be shitty. So I can understand why people would rather live in a fantasy than see the reality. But this is what I would like you to think about today. The more accurate perception you have of reality, the more accurate your decisions will be. So you make a decision based on accurate information. If you make decisions based on inaccuracy, what happens is that your trajectory is going to be off. You're going to be getting feedback that's inaccurate. You're going to make a decision that's inaccurate. It's going to lead to an outcome you don't necessarily want. So in order to get the best outcome in whatever area that you're working on, you have to see the truth of the situation. Then, it's like they say in the good old book, know the truth and the truth will set you free. I've found that true in every area of life. When you see the truth of something, and to me, truth is just accurate. So there's a continuum, that goes along like this. You have the most accurate version of events, and then you have the least accurate version of events on the other end. And the one that's going to empower you the most is when you see the most accurate version of events. That, you would say, is the most truthful. When you make your choices and when you live your life from the most accurate version of events, you'll find that life will flow more, you'll get more of what you want, you'll feel better about yourself, you'll be happier, you'll be freer, and you'll be more successful. And ultimately, that's what it's all about. So today's Love Oracle, we took a little bit of a tangent, went off on another direction, but this will always happen when I talk about Versailles, because my heart and, every time I go to Versailles, I feel this sense of place and being and belonging, and I feel the history. And I recently was looking at my ancestry, and I might have shared this story with you before, but I'll bear with me as I tell you again. My mother used to say that we were Scottish, and obviously my father was English. He came from England and Warwickshire, and when I did my DNA test, I found out that, what the fuck? There's no Scottish in us at all, at least not in me, unless I'm the milkman's son, you never know. And so my ancestry, it turns out that it is English, Irish, French, German, and Scandinavian, in that order. So mostly English, with a large part of my family from London, and then with a bit of Irish, and then, go back a little bit further, 1880 actually, not too far back, you end up with French, and then German, and then the Scandinavian part. And so I was reflecting on that, and I forgot the reason I was telling you this story about my ancestry. There must be a good reason. Something to do with today's Love Oracle and, waxing lyrical and going off on a tangent. What the hell? Talking about a sense of place in Versailles, that's what it was. And, the part of me that is French ancestry, when I go to France, I really feel it. I feel like I belong. I feel like this place is like a part of me and I'm a part of it. And I can resonate with a lot of the people and the ways of thinking, the aesthetic and stuff. And it's the same when I go to London, I feel a resonance there. And when I went to Ireland, I feel a resonance there. Now, Germany, similar. Scandinavia, similar, but slightly less as we go further away. Very interesting if you've checked out your DNA and what does it tell you about yourself. I know a lot of my characteristics, I can see them in my ancestry, and I can understand why I am the way that I am. How that's useful is if I can understand where I came from, I can understand myself better and why I do certain things and why I prefer certain things and why I really dislike others. And then with that information, I can choose who I want to be in the future and how I want to express myself. And so that's why I do the DNA stuff, as well as, understanding my dietary background and what my ancestors used to eat, because that's the best thing for me to eat, is some variation of what my ancestors used to eat. And I find I do better on that than eating some other way that, the people in my, family tree didn't used to eat. Anyway, this is the longest video I've shared in the Love Oracle. It's 13 minutes. Goodness me. Sunday, I guess this is what happens when you do a Love Oracle on Sunday, isn't it? You end up talk. That's the other thing in my ancestry. We like to talk. And I grew up, when I was a kid, I like to talk. And I noticed my eldest daughter, her name's Coco, and she loves to talk all the time. I wonder where she gets that from. So this is the thoughts for today with the Love Oracle from Marie Antoinette, Versailles, and Harrison. A little bit of family history and a little bit of deeper sharing. So that's it. If you like this video and you like the content, make a comment below, share anything you want. Let's have a conversation. I like to interact. You can ask me a question and I will reply about anything you like, whatever. So thank you for following my videos. Happy to talk to you again, and I will see you tomorrow. This is Harrison, over and out. Ciao, ciao, ciao.